Morning, everyone. Let's start here at our earnings today. So we are on Thursday, and we do it after close. We have Broadcom being announced, so that actually might have an impact. It's later on in the day, 4 o'clock. So if we're still trading, then make sure we keep that in mind. This morning there are several news events. Just refresh. Here's the first couple. So the ADP non-farm employment change came in well below forecast. So that's not going to be good for dollar. And then we had unemployment claims came in at 227 versus forecast 231. So basically the same. So not a big impact there, but this should have sent the dollar pushing lower. Or at some point today, the dollar's going to push lower because of this news driver. The next one is coming just after the opening bell, 9:45, and then we have 10 and 11. And the big one is going to be at 10. So that's the one we really want to focus on. Okay, so it's Institute of Supply Management, and anything above 50 shows some expansion, below 50 is contraction. So that's what we'll be looking for there. All right, back to our daily chart to see where we are. So yesterday's daily candle didn't produce much of a range, and even the candle body closed somewhere close to where it started. I mean, we did recognize it, and now we can see we're right back to that same breaker that sent price pushing higher yesterday. So we'll see if that breaker holds again. Right in the level, so we have crossed the 50%. So we're back into the discount. This is a daily bullish value gap. We also have daily time frame. This right here was a bearish fair value gap that was disrespected over here. So we're going to try to use that as an inverse, see if it wants to turn bullish and send price higher from here. And also 18,800 is the top of this bullish breaker, which sent price higher down here. So if we tap into that, that also could be a point of influence for bullish momentum. Check out our comparison chart here. Let's see if we have any type of detachment between the indices. And it does look like we do. So we have broken lows. We're tracing back to 88% here on S&P. Full retracement back on Nasdaq. So let me just get rid of the Fibonacci. It doesn't really matter anymore. All right, but this morning we can see there's been a low that's been traded through there. There's a low here that was traded through. And then if we look at the same level here on the Dow, we can see the Dow is putting in higher lows. But we are getting a bearish push by the dollar, which we expected from the news. You can see how it pushed here, but did reject or close the candle and trade higher. So we'll see now if this candle after the opening bell continues momentum to the downside. All right, so I'll pull the same breaker over from yesterday just to see if it works again this morning. Bell in 2 minutes. M. K. Gonzalez, Brian, LD, Triple C, JR, Mark, FA. Pray and trade. Good morning, all of you. All right, we have a new guest from Korea. All right, glad to have you here. I can't see your name, but glad you're here. Hey, Muhammad, good morning. 5 minute low, London, previous day low. Yeah, let me look and see, Muhammad, if there's any session highs or lows. All right, Asia low, London low, traded through. Ready? Hey, Darius, what's up? CE. Oh, Darius, you were up trading at E30? Oh, 90 handles in 5 minutes. equal highs roughly right here at 963. Not something we're looking at right now. Handles, so right around 55 handles on the opening bell. Eric, good morning. Not anymore, but I used to take pre-market trades a lot. I used to take trades right before 8:30 or right around 8:30. And I found pretty good success with them. I just found that they didn't have sustained runs, so you definitely have shorter targets, but I did have pretty good success back when I used to trade to 8:30. Mm. It gets those equal highs up around 960, 65-ish. Hey, biblical. I think I'm overall bullish for today. I'm following dollar closely to make sure that it continues to push lower. I think I'm bullish for today. Mohammed, you can. Do you see an entry there, Mohammed? Okay. 140, 150 handles. That's the opening bell. 140. All right. So there's the Asian London high. Really high. Let's see if we can get the previous day high around 120 sometime today. No, I didn't get long on this one. I didn't catch this one. Brian. Okay, I see what you're saying, Mohammed. Mohammed, so if you want to grab these two as your breaker, then remember this is a move, so it's just a price leg. So you don't want to omit the wick of this candle, of the 815 candle. So it would your breaker would look like this. And in that case, this 905 candle did not confirm it. So don't skip this wick right here. Make sure you use that as well. Now, what you may want to find is you may want to go to a lower time frame and get the same range right here. And let me try on the 3 minute. A little better. Let's go with the one. Yep, the one is better. So now in this case, you would have got a 1 minute confirmation at 9:33, and you got the retest at 9:34. Also 9:35. So, all right, you catch that, Muhammad? Okay, biblical. All right. news in just a couple seconds. I think this is, yep, orange folder news, final services PMI. Yep. Congrats, Biblical. Good move. Yeah, it's not so much that you use the last wick, but you want to use the entire range. So you want to go from the low, right, to the high, and you want to include that in there. Now, what I just showed you about dropping time frames, what you want to do is whenever you find a breaker that you like, you start moving down in time frame, seeing if a lower time frame, if you have the exact same breaker. And if you do, as you can see what happened here, if you go to a lower time frame, you have that confirmation and then the retest back inside. Here on the 5 minute, by the time you got a 5 minute confirmation, you're up here at 19,000 without any retracement. But this 5 minute candle before, if you break it down into 1 minute candles, you got the closure above, and then you got the next candle to trade back down. So do that going forward. When you find a breaker you like, 5 minute, 15 minute, whatever, start dropping time frame until you get to the lowest denominator where you have the exact same breaker. And what that does is it allows you to get the confirmation and the retest a little quicker. So far, the news hasn't really delivered much. Let's look and see what the actual news result was. All right, so it came in at 55.7, just slightly higher than forecast, but that does represent expansion in the area, in the services, and slightly higher than forecast. So we may see a peak in the dollar in a few minutes. But we do have another news event coming at 10. So in 13 minutes, maybe like 12 minutes, we'll have the ISIP services PMI come in. And yeah, before that, we'll have the macro. The macro starting in 2 minutes, and then news 10 minutes after. Net bearish fair value gap is up around 19,070. You can see here on the screen. Remember, that's a 1 hour time frame. $961. All right, let's quickly take a look at our comparison chart here before we get a news announcement. So we did finally get sweep of lower values here on the Dow to go along with the same thing we saw on S&P and Nasdaq. So we did finally get that. But you can see for the hour, in order to achieve that, we have a sizable bearish candle here, unlike the bullish candle we have on both S&P and Nasdaq. But the good news is we are still getting a bearish push from the dollar here on the far left. So it does still support higher prices for the indices. And I'll continue to watch it just to make sure this doesn't turn around and start pushing higher. All right, we got about 90 seconds before the news event comes. Gonna run and grab some coffee. I'll be right back. Looks like a lunch high from yesterday. Finally grabbed that. Did we grab it yesterday? And when we didn't, I said, all right, since I'm still bullish, it's probably going to be a target for tomorrow. Now we got the daily high, 115, the daily high from yesterday. We're able to get this daily high from yesterday. If we take that daily high, that represents 225 handles from the opening bell. I completely missed that 5 minute there, Ray. Did not see it at all. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. I don't know if someone else in the room caught it, but I definitely didn't see it. Just flip over to the 5 minute. I'll show you what Ray is now discussing. So we had the 5 minute down on the lower portion, which was a recycle one from 2 days ago and from yesterday morning. We saw price bounce out of the same area. I used it this morning at 8:30, but by the time we got to 9:30, it never really tapped back in sight. We did discover a 1 minute breaker that was used at the opening bell. But here on the 5 minute, what Ray is talking about is this cluster of candles. Right, so we have a swing low here, traded higher to swing high, which is above here. It broke lower once again. Then you wait for it to come back around and confirm on the other side. It took about an hour and a half, but it did come back and get that. Then we had trade down during this. Matter of fact, this is the wick that came the minute before the breaker. I'm sorry, the minute before the macro. So you'd have had to first have identified the breaker, been waiting for the macro time for it to trade back in. So when it did it the minute before, then you have to decide that, okay, that's close enough. I can't rely on it to come back another time during the macro, so I need to get in now. And so your entry would have been just a minute before, so around 9:49. Yeah, either that ray or this one. Maybe this one. Like 735, 740. We got the bull on the other side right here. Yeah, it did tap into this one, so I can see what this is the inversion. Can everyone see the green border around these breakers? Trying something new to see if I can distinguish between bullish and bearish breakers and have you guys recognize it as well. Oh, you like inversion that occurred before the break? Okay, I think when I look for inversion, a lot of times I look for them within the breaker. Oh, appreciate it, Darius. Thank you. All right, CEO. We'll catch you later. All right, next news event, I believe, is at 11 crude oil inventories. All right, so ISM services PMI was a red folder. However, it did hit right around forecast. So not a whole lot to talk about. Just quickly look at the dollar. Look at what the dollar's doing right now. In the first 10 minutes of this hour, it's already traded back into the London range because of what was going on the last few hours where its range was really small. So now I want to see this bearish fair value gap here. I want to see it use once again to push price lower. It worked over here. Now I want to see it work again. And so now if we look at our indices, we have only taken previous day high from Nasdaq. We've not taken a previous day high on S&P, and we definitely have not done it on the Dow. So that's what we want to see. We want to see S&P come next and see if it can take its high. If it doesn't, then we're going to trade back into the range, seek lower prices soon. And we know that we have taken the previous week's high. I'm sorry, the previous day's high. I'm going to go ahead and take it off the screen here. And we did that during the macros. So you can see that was the macro assignment. Yeah, when I'm looking at during the macro period, this 20-minute period, I'm always looking for either an entry to be confirmed or traded into, or looking for a target to be reached. Sometimes you get both. Just going to measure this price leg basically from the opening bell to now. Looks like 19,000 is our equilibrium point. Right here in this little 1 minute fair value gap. So let's put that on the screen and see if we trade into it. Hey, Queen, good morning. Welcome. Queen, welcome. We'll catch you later this afternoon. moving good here on Nasdaq. Here on far right. If we look just to the left of it, you can see that S&P is still trying to duplicate what Nasdaq has already accomplished, trying to get over yesterday's high. Still has a little ways to go, about another 13 to 14 handles. So we'll see if it can actually get up there. The Dow's still trailing behind, so still has. I'm not sure if it'll even get there today, but we'll see. Now on the dollar, on the far left, I was looking for the dollar to start to trade lower. Sorry, I was looking for the dollar to trade lower out of the fair value gap here above it, and it is doing so far, but not quite at the speed that I would like it to. I'd like for it to have the same level of energy that we're seeing on Nasdaq. The big push we're seeing on Nasdaq, I would like to see the same on the dollar, but it's just not happening at the moment. So I'll keep watching. So far, this little rejection is it's good. It's just not enough. Let's go back to our daily chart just to see how we're progressing there. So you can see we pushed out of the inverse here. Also the daily busy. And we pushed from the 50% retracement level. Now we're getting up to the 38. And I knew this was coming after yesterday's handle, is that we do have, oops, just take this. We do have something we're going to have to contend with today. Oops. So we do have a daily bearish fair value gap that we're brushing up into now. We entered at 119. So we're into the folds now. Consequent encroachment is at 242. So about a 240, 250 points AB here. Oh, I'm sorry, Robin. I didn't see your note. Yep, absolutely, Robin. And it's the same one we have highlighted as the 5-minute one. So keep that in mind. And it was, I believe it was Muhammad or someone else asked a question this morning when we were talking about fair value gap. So if you grab this one on the 15, drop down to time frame, drop to the 5-minute to see if it's the same area. If the breaker would be 95% the same size. If that's the case, then use the lower time frame because you'll get confirmation earlier, which will allow the retracement sooner as well. In this case, it kind of worked out. But as you can imagine, the 5-minute closes 10 minutes before the 15-minute closes. So it just works out better in most cases. So try that. If you find it here on the 15, go to the 5-minute. If it doesn't look good, then stick to the 15. If you go to the 5 and it does look like the same surface area, then you want to work with that. Now, what I don't like doing, so for instance, if we go to the 5, you can see it's just these 3 consecutive candles. So that's a perfect one to use. So you want to use the 5-minute for this example. But for instance, if you go to 1 minute, it's these consecutive candles. And while it's not bad to look at, I don't like this down close candle and this swing low in the middle. So if I was using this as a 1-minute breaker, it would start here. And in that case, confirmation would have been on the 1 minute at 9:37. We had the retracement on this one candle at 9:49, and then off it went, which was the exact same thing that happened on the 5 minute and 15 as well. But sometimes it will happen on the 1 minute, but the 5 minute won't get it. 5 minute will just look like it took off, or the 15 minute will look like it just took off without any retracement. That's the only reason why I say check your lower time frames on the same breaker as well. Yep. This right here was a perfect example of what I was just talking about. So I think initially he asked me if this was a breaker on the 5 minute. And I was like, yeah, you can technically use this because this is a swing low right here. And then we moved up to a swing high, and it broke lower and then traded higher. So yes, you can use this as a breaker on the 5 minute. But if you look at here on 5 minute, it confirmed here on the 935 candle all the way up here, and we never came back down here. So this breaker would have never been used on the 5 minute. But then if you switch down to 1 minute, then you see the confirmation happen here at 9:33. The next candle traded back inside 9:34, 9:35, and then it was gone. I'm sorry, let me go back to the one just for anyone who's looking at it. It's this area right here. Didn't really work on the 5 minute, but it worked well on the 1 minute. See, we have 25 likes already. Thank you, everyone who's hit the like button already. That goes a long way towards supporting the channel. I do appreciate your support. Triple C, you said look at the 1 minute breaker after the sell side liquidity pre-market. Yep. What do you want to look at? What do you want to see in particular? I appreciate your praying trade. You saying you want to look at the breaker that Queen took as her entry? Is that what you're saying? And that question was for Triple C. All right. Triple C. So I'm assuming that the one that Queen took is this one here. This is the 1 minute she's talking about pre-market. So when I think of pre-market, I'm thinking of anything from around 7 o'clock until 9:30. And she says sell side liquidity, which is all right. So we had all these lows over here from yesterday morning, and pushed below that this morning at 8:20. Didn't quite take the Asia low, but we got close to it. And this is the Asia low from yesterday. Yep. Sure. All right. All right, so I'm drop down to the 1 minute. So this is what we got. We traded lower, swept all the lows from the previous morning. And then at 8:30, there was a news event. We got a major push higher on one candle, 1 minute candle. So when it eclipsed this high here, this created a bullish breaker from the last swing high, which is right here, swing low, and then the new swing high. But we do need a closure above in order to confirm it, which we did not get until somewhere over here, right here. All right, so that closure above happened at 9:33. So while breaker confirmed during pre-market, it wasn't actually confirmed until the opening bell a couple minutes later at 9:33. And then the very next candle, 9:34, you got to trade back inside. You're still above the midnight open, and then off it went. So that was your pre-market 1 minute breaker. Now, somebody may have tried to use this one down here, but it would have been aggressive. You tried to use this one. And in that case, you got a confirmation here at 8:27. The next candle, 8:28, trade back inside, 8:29, trade back inside, and then the news event, boom, it takes off. So that's another thing to do. You can do as well is just before a news event, just before the opening bell, just before any of those things occur, you want to go and look for your most recent breaker block and look for price to trade into it and give you an entry. Now, if price trades into it the minute before the opening bell at 9:28, 9:29, you definitely want to take that entry because it's already telling you what's happening. It's very similar to when we do the macro. If price trades into a breaker a minute before the macro, and it's already giving me indication that that's my entry. I'll use the 8:22 candle as 8:30 news pushed us up. All right, so there you have it. Looks like Queen was one of the aggressive ones, jumping in down here. These are those sniper entries where you find someone who caught a 300-point run and they say I was in at the very bottom, and you wonder how did they get in. This is how they got in. These kind of entries. And the good thing about these entries is it comes with low risk because you can see the range. The range is from 835 up to what's the top end of this breaker? 849. So you're talking about 14 handles, and the area that would invalidate the trade is down at 827. So even if you got in at the very top of 849, you would only need 22 handles, and that was the complete range all the way to the invalidation point. And this goes for, want to send a message out to, what's it, Muhammad? Um, the other Vikas, if he's in, I'm not sure if Vikas is in here this morning. Triple C, all you guys who always ask questions about how do you know you can reuse a breaker, right? So this breaker that it's inside of this 5-minute breaker, you gotta remember this is from Monday, I believe at 7 p.m. At 9 p.m. 9 p.m. I'm sorry, 9 p.m. on Tuesday. So we saw price bouncing all Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Opening bell taking off from that area. Spitting time above and finding its way back down. The following morning back inside the same area, and it's like, okay, how do we know we can use that again? You don't exactly know you can use it again. You do have a few things working for you. You have a news event, so you have something that's going to push price fast, either lower or higher. But you have a bullish fair value gap, so price is trading into an area where price wants to find support, and it kind of hangs around here, waiting for the news event. So that already gave you one indication. But you're able to go to a low time frame and find a 1-minute breaker inside of the 2-day-old 5-minute breaker, giving you some comfort that you can use this again. And since you caught it in the lower half of the breaker, you also got low risk because your stop loss could have been a little tighter without being invalidated. So that was a good situation there. Great entry, Queen. Like I said, I wasn't looking at it during that time frame, but yeah. So that's what you should be looking for if you're looking to use an old breaker and you're not sure if it'll go for a second, third, or fourth time. Definitely want to drop in time frames, and you want to look for some kind of sniper entry within the larger entry model. Showing a 5-minute gap. You mean these 5-minute breakers here? Or this one right here is a 5-minute gap here? But these are not indicators. I draw these. These are just rectangles. The only indicator that I'm using right now is this nephew Sam fair value gap. And I'm only using the H1. So it's putting all the 1 hour fair value gaps on all of my charts. That's the only one I'm using. Yes, Robin, you can use them until they're invalidated. Absolutely. But usually people, you want to make sure that it is not going to be disrespected. So that's why I say look for another entry model within the larger entry model. So if you're on the 5-minute, go to the 1 minute, the 30-second, somewhere in there, and try to find a continuation. Oh, sweet, Simon. Excellent. Excellent. You got your eval done. All right. Well, don't do anything else into that account, then you should get an email sometime today around 6 p.m. New York time when the market reopens. we've already found a 1 minute bearish breaker. Yep, so this would be the 5 minute right here, Robin. Yep, the 10-10. So we would go, this will be our area. And let's hit the 3 minute and see. Okay, roughly the same. All right, I like the 3 minute. And we're in the no, we're not quite macro yet. We got a couple more minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes looks good as well. And the 1 minute. Yeah, not quite on the 1 minute, but you can use this for the 2 minute through the 5 minute, Robin. So once we have the macro, I wonder if price is going to do something like this. Got a bearish fair value gap in there. Quinn, what's your 1 minute breaker? Oh, okay, got it. I was wondering, I was like, man, I don't see it. I'll get her to help me. Yeah, retest back in here. All right, so we've already removed about 40 handles from the breaker. If we get into the 60 handle area, when it returns, I start then looking for reconfirmation. Deepak, can you look for longs off a 5 minute bullish breaker? Sure, absolutely. In fact, you should look for longs off of a 5 minute bullish breaker. Go back from the opening bell. Let's measure up again and see where, okay, so now we're in discount. We have traded back to discount. And that's coming from the 925 candle up until the swing high we had 1025. This 5-minute busy here also overlaps with optimal trade entry of 62 to 78% retracement. Trade and trade. Which bullish breaker are you referring to? All the bullish breakers on my screen I've already shown, so I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Which price range are you referring to? All right, pray and trade. I have my cursor on this one. Is this what you're talking about right here? The one that's right here around 18,950? Yep. Okay. All right. So we're on the 5 minute. So this was the one we grabbed before the opening bell. So before the opening bell, like it wasn't confirmed yet, but we did have this leg down before the news at 8:30. So we had a leg down, news at 8:30, push price higher. There was a little consolidation. 9:30 came. 2 candles later, we were higher as well. We swept this high. So whenever you sweep highs or lows or somewhere, you should start looking to see if a breaker was confirmed, because that's generally what happens when you do that, when you sweep levels. So by sweeping this high, we actually confirmed a bullish breaker on the 5 minute, which was these 3 candles, 720 to 730 candles. And by doing so at 9:30, we have a very energetic candle that left behind a fair value gap, which gave us our unicorn setup. We also were able to find these two bearish fair value gaps prior to forming. In fact, this bearish fair value gap is what sent prices lower. And this is what Ray and I were discussing earlier. He was saying he liked this as the inversion because this is what actually sent prices lower that created the breaker. As opposed, because I asked him, what about these inversions that's inside of here? And he said that he likes this one because of how it sent price lower. So I'm during my next backtesting session, I'm going to look into that. It's potentially something to use for future trading. But this is a 5-minute break that we were discussing, 7:20 to 7:30. And you can see after 9:30, when price traded higher, the next two candles traded right back inside, hit consequent encroachment of the unicorn, tap into the breaker, and then that sent prices higher for anyone who wanted the entry right around the opening bell. All right, so we're in optimal trade entry now. We've tapped into that 62% retracement level. So now that we know we've tapped in, I'm going to remove it just so we can clean up our screen a little bit. We're about halfway through our breaker this morning. I'm sorry, halfway through our macro this morning. It's now 11 o'clock. We'll finish the macro at 11:10, and then we'll have another hour. Well, we have another hour of trading now. The next macro is 11:50 to 12:10. Let me see. I'll have a. So, for instance, El Jefe, this is a bearish breaker. We have already traded past it and closed. I want to see it trade back inside to take the entry. I don't want to take a market execution. You can take a market execution, and usually the first move will be market execution. But I wanted to trade back before I take an entry. And to answer your question, if you have a 1 minute and a 5 minute, do you want to see it confirm both? Yeah, it's nice to confirm both. Just remember that the 1 minute will confirm first. So you'll likely already be in an entry before the 5 minute confirms. And that you can see right, this is the one right here, the example I gave this morning, where the 1 minute here confirmed at 9:33, 9:34 traded back inside. And I labeled this here as a 1 minute. But if you look at this 1 minute on the 5 minute, so here on 1 minute, this is what it looks like from 8:10 to about 8:15. Now, if we go to the 5 minute, that one candle at 8:15, right? So it's right here. So it's this low at 8:05 to this high at 8:15 is the breaker. But as you can see, the 1 minute confirmed at like 8:33 or 9:33 and then traded back at 9:34, 9:35, and the price took off. If you wait for it to confirm on the 5 minute, it didn't confirm until this 9:35 candle. And we were all the way up here and price never traded back down. So if you were looking at this from a 5 minute perspective, you would not have gotten an entry. If you looked at it from the 1 minute perspective, your entry was at 9:34, 9:35. So that's the exact same breaker on different time frames. Now, if you're saying two separate breakers, one on the 1 minute, one on the 5 minute, that would be something different. But still, if you have a breaker on multiple time frames, take the quickest one, which is going to be the lower time frame. What do you know? What do you know? Look at what just happened. I was just talking about if you took this from a 5-minute perspective, this 935 candle took off, confirmed the breaker, but confirmed breaker 100 handles up, and it never traded back down. Look at what just happened. So you'd have had to wait 90 minutes for it to come back, tap your area on the 5-minute. But on the 1-minute, you'd have gotten this entire move, this whole leg, or you could have gotten a portion or all of it. $35 handles already from the tap. And tapped in during the macro. So that's good to see. Okay, so the reconfirmation here. So a 5-second setup. And I have not back tested 5 seconds, so I don't even know how long this rally could be expected to run. Right here, 11:04. Yep, exactly. Exactly, the Darius. 5-minute bearish breaker up here, provided no entry. And that's likely where this rally is going to go to. So that's another 50 handles up. Let's see, we got a few fair value gaps here. It needs to push through, but let's see if it can get up to 031. I would rather trade the bullish one, Robin, just because I'm bullish for the day. And overall price structure on the higher time frame, I'm bullish. And when I say higher time frame, I'm speaking daily and weekly. But I could trade either one because, again, my TPs are a bit more manageable. So it's between 20, 30 handles most of the time, closer to 20. So it's easier for me to take either one. I'm glad you brought that up, Robin, because just because you see a breaker doesn't mean you need to jump into the trade. Uh, I try to reiterate that point as many times as I can throughout the day. Every candle that moves 20 handles doesn't mean that you potentially missed the trade and you should have been in it. Like every price movement is not a trade. Sometimes price is just moving and it didn't provide an entry model. So don't feel so compelled to be in every single candle that moves. No, Brian, I did not catch this long here, so I did not jump in. I was a bit late and I was trying to see if I could get in. Yep. Yeah, up here, Robin, no entry in that one. Not at all. So here's the 5-minute. We confirmed here the 1045 candle and we never came back. Honestly, I haven't practiced this, but this might be something that you can use going forward. That if price trades away from a breaker and doesn't come back, as it's going away from it, you can start looking for the opposite direction. You can start looking for a reversal pattern to bring you back to the breaker. Just like we had this one here on 5 minute, price took off and never traded back. And then you could have been looking for some sort of reversal pattern to bring price back down, in which you would have got up in this range and you could have rode that back down. So we never invalidated this breaker. We're still inside of the hourly bullish fair value gap. In fact, the candle bodies never violated this fair value gap. The unicorn setup. Now we've closed above it again. This morning's price action actually pretty good study material. So if you want to just spend some time studying a particular day's price action, I think this morning's pretty good. If you start off this morning around, matter of fact, you can just start during the London session. Just start at 2 a.m. and work your way forward. I try to identify all breakers you can on the 5 minute, on the 1 minute, and then figuring out which potential entries you would like, especially if you're still learning to identify the breakers, still learning to decide where the entry should be, where the stop loss should be, and where the TP should be. I think this morning's price action was pretty good, and also mixing all that in with news announcements. Like we had so many news announcements this morning: 8:30, I think it was 8:30, 9:45, 10, and then 11. Back, let's look and see what our last news event delivered. 11 o'clock crude oil inventory. Forecast was it should be down by 0.6 million barrels. It's down by 7 million barrels. Jeez. For instance, and that should be good for currency. So that means either they started pumping less or consumption is up. And since I don't think they can change how much they pump easily, I think it's more or less the consumption is up. All right, so we go back to our comparison chart quickly. All right, so we did have a bearish fair value gap here on the dollar. Dollar managed to push through that and close above, so it validated the fair value gap here. We also just saw at 11 o'clock there was a news event announced that the dollar should be a bit stronger based on that news event. So we actually may see this fair value gap in play one above us, either sometime this hour or into lunch or early afternoon. So I'm going to watch this area as the dollar continues to push higher. But with that being said, I'm wondering how low we go on the indice side. So we're showing strength on Nasdaq compared to the other two. We did finally get that sweep of lows, and now we just took out yesterday's low on the Dow. We also, let's see. Okay, so we haven't quite taken out yesterday's low on S&P. but we have made a new daily low on the S&P. And so far, Nasdaq is holding strong. See if that continues. Hopefully, it does. If it does not, then we're definitely going to be looking for lower prices in the afternoon session. But for now, I want to let price settle and see what it does this hour. Demon restored. Not really sure. Not really sure, but we do have 40 likes so far, so I appreciate those 40. No problem, Rob. Yep. We take our swing point from 820 this morning. Now we're still kind of in the sweet spot. We hit the 70% retracement. Now we're right at around 62%. Not really. Trade and trade. You're really looking for liquidity points. So it's like when you go into higher time frames, you're looking to see where is price really ultimately trying to go, and it's based on liquidity, where where liquidity lies, and its swing points on higher time frames. So it's session high and lows. So you're gonna look for your New York high, New York low. You're gonna look for your London, your Asia. So those are levels that you look for to see where price is going. But also, like I said, swing points. So you go to your 15-minute, your 1 hour. See what might be on the table for price to trade to, and that's generally how you want to map out where price is going. But you want to make sure that your TPs are set that way, and don't try to get greedy. So I understand looking to see where price may want to go, but definitely if you get greedy, it'll come grab you. Back, I never put in my session high and low, my opening range. Now we pass through the opening range low. Look and see if price can close below it. If it does, you have pretty good confidence that this is high of the day. Doesn't mean that price can't trade higher. We just feel like it's not going to go past this high, so it's going to trade somewhere in here. We already know that we have not traded back to this breaker yet, this bearish breaker. So if we manage to close below a 5-minute candle below this opening range low, then I'd be looking for some time today for price to trade back to this breaker for us to push lower. So our New York high was at 10, so this candle here, that's the New York high. So I'm not going to put that up there. The New York low, the low is between 7 and 10. It's right here at 820. And that also represents the same level as the September 4th Asia low. So, in fact, you know what? Let me just change that. Right back. I'm going to grab the last cup of coffee this morning. Okay, so we did get that closure below the opening range low. I'll leave it up for a few minutes just to drive that point home. Um, but then that makes us confident in this being the high. So we're looking at retracement into this area so we could push price lower. And I will say the practice of this opening range high and low seems to work about 80% of the time. So usually once per week, uh, that theory fails. And so I just want to throw that out there. It's not 100% theory. It's just one that works more times than not. You're new, if you're new to the channel and you're looking to really push your trading forward and make sure that you're become more consistent and a profitable trader as quickly as possible, my recommendation would be that you subscribe to the channel, make sure that you have access to the chat window. And then whenever you have questions, jump into the chat window, ask the question. There's several subscribers in the room who will be more than happy to jump in and help move you along or help get you directed in the right direction. So make sure that you are subscribed so you have access to chat window. It's like we're a consequent encroachment here of our earlier breaker from 2 days ago. So at some point in time, I believe this breaker won't hold, but we'll give it another opportunity to see if it'll push price higher again. So it looks like everyone using the 30-second was able to get in on this bearish breaker, but nothing above the 30-second. Nice little impulsive candle here out of the same 5-minute bullish breaker. Tapped into the fair value gap, 8:30 open. And then here we are pushing out. Let's go to a lower time frame and see if we can notice anything. And the 1 minute didn't really tell us anything. So I'm going to go back up to the 5. Even right here, this couldn't even be considered a break or anything. So I'm just going to jump back up. use that. You said the 11:30 candle, should it be used or considered? Um, I mean, I like how it tapped into the fair value gap here, tapped into the 8:30 open, right in consequent encroachment of the breaker, and then we got an impulsive candle afterwards. Um, but as far as maybe that being an indicator that we're now gonna push out of this area, no, I would only use an entry model, so I wouldn't use this as anything. It is a good sign, though. It's a good sign, but I wouldn't use it as an entry model. Now that we've traded higher here, let's see if we break down one more time, sweep the low, and then if we get an impulse, then you can use it. But the way I like to do market structure is like, so when you see these candles pushing lower, and then we got this one candle here, 1127. The reason why I didn't use this candle as anything, it's because it never took over the candle before. I like for it to trade higher than the candle before to make a swing high. And then remember, a swing high, what we're looking for is, we're looking for it to be, oops, right? So it needs to be 3 points, high, a higher high, and, well, I'm sorry, lower highs on both sides of a higher high. And that's what we didn't get. So if this green candle had traded higher than this purple one, then on the push lower, and then subsequent push higher, then I would have taken this as a breaker. It would have looked like this. Would have stretched that across, and we'd be looking at bullish push out of here. But because this green candle never traded higher than the candle before, it's not a valid pullback for me when I'm looking at price structure. So I don't have any reconfirmation down here to go off of. Oh, what up, TJ? In a minute. Yeah, how are things? I know things are pretty hectic your way, but hopefully things are getting a little easier. All right, we're in our final macro of the morning session. So we have 11:50 to 12:10, and then during that we'll have our break for lunch, and we'll come back at 1300. Yep. Oh, okay. So she started on Tuesday. That is good news. Definitely. Hopefully, the other things that you're dealing with also start to iron themselves out soon. Yeah. Yeah. Take it day by day. Not easy. I've been good. I've been definitely been good. Can't complain too much on my side, but good to hear from you. Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, TJ, don't get sad if you don't hear from your daughter. She's just having a good time. That's all. At least when I went to college, I had an excuse. Calling home was long distance, so you did it as infrequently as possible. Oh, that's true. She was homeschooled. You did tell me that. Very centric. All right, man. Yeah, that's good for her, man. That's excellent. Socially and academically, she's in her element now. Yeah, it's just doing a little uh, consolidation here. It's not really doing much. All you said last 3 5 minute candles. Let's look and see. I'm assuming you're talking about these up close wicks and the bodies essentially closing where they started. Oh, jeez. Yep. Triple C. That's good to hear. I'm glad your daughter jumped in there. Yep. Set the example for the next generation. Yeah. Usually when I see all these up close, sorry, these up wicks with very small can bodies, that doesn't give me confidence of price going higher. So we're either going to continue sideways or at some point we're going to break lower. Right on you. Oh, funny. So we have the Dow and we have S&P all have taken their made a new low for the day. Let's shrink our table here. Look at how much lower the Dow has pushed just this hour from its morning low. You can see the same thing over on the S&P. And while we have a sizable push on Nasdaq, it still hasn't made a new low for the morning. So we'll see if it can hold on for another minute and a half into lunch and see if lunch hour brings something different. But for now, it looks like we're strongest in Nasdaq and we are weakest in the Dow. Got a big retracement coming on the dollar. So big retracement coming on the dollar at the moment. We managed to, there was a bearish fair value gap here. We managed to close above it and invalidate it. But as soon as the next hour started, we're pushing lower, looking for the fair value gap below now. So we'll see if it finds support and want to push higher during lunch. But yeah, it should be interesting during lunch. When we come back at 1300, we'll see where the dollar's line and then go from there as far as what we expect for the afternoon. But for now, we do have S&T, whereas Nasdaq is not taking a new morning low, and the other two have. And now that I look at it, it looks like Nasdaq also was the only one to take out the previous day high, and in doing so, that's when it broke lower. All right, final 15 seconds here. If you can put final questions and comments in the chat now, that would be amazing. Also, click the like button if you're leaving for lunch. Click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. See, New Orleans. I'm supposed to be visiting there again next year. Haven't been to New Orleans. I guess it's been about 2 years now. Oh, dang. No, I'm not gonna make it to Mardi Gras. I have a family who live there. I used to go to Mardi Gras a lot growing up as a kid, up until I went to college, and just couldn't take off school just to go and party. But yeah, I used to go to Mardi Gras all the time. I want to go back again. We're having a family reunion the next year. Oh man, it's a great time, TJ. I actually haven't been since I've been an adult. I went every year from when I was, I think, 11 or 12 until I was 18. And then since then, every time I go to New Orleans, it seems like it's always July or August, but I never really can make it back in February, March. She was 6 months. Wow. Extremely early age to lose your father. She probably doesn't know it now, but she should be extremely grateful that you've been in her life all this time. Right, so right when we cross over 12 o'clock, you can see the big push coming from there. Now, if you want to take a 1 minute breaker to support this 5 minute, you can. You can either take this 1 minute that's already there. Once we cross over halfway, I start to feel more comfortable that we're going to continue. Or you could take this one. Oops. Let me look. Brace, let me see what you're talking about. You said the last break I identified, I only did the 2 up close candles. Okay, you talking about these two? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I didn't stretch far enough. Good one, Bryce. Yeah, I didn't see it. I think it's because the wick is right here on the where the breaker marker was, so I couldn't see it. All right, everyone. That's going to do it for our morning session. I know we're a little bit late here, so I'll be back in an hour for our afternoon session. I'm going to turn the feed off here, and there's another invitation out for 1300, so I'll see you all in about an hour. All right, happy trading during the lunch for anyone who's doing so, and I hope to see you in an hour. Hit the like button on your way out and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you. See you later.